Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for swinging by. I sure do appreciate it. If this is your first time on the channel, my name is Mark.
Oh, hi Mark.
Welcome to Fit and Fire. Let's get into this video. This time we're going to be looking at the FB Radom Beryl, and this is a rifle that I have been wanting to get into my hands for a number of years. I first was able to shoot one several years ago with a collaboration that I did with Clayco 47. If you guys haven't seen those videos, I'll leave a card to part 1 and part 2 at the end of this video so you can check it out. But essentially what we did was we came together and talked about 5.56 AKs and why they're becoming more popular and the different versions that are out there. I had 3 versions, he had 3 versions, and he got to shoot mine, I got to shoot his. And the FB Radom Beryl is one of those that Clay had in his collection that was added to mine. I had to get one of these, and I finally have been able to spring to purchase one of these, and I'm glad that I did. And there's a couple of different reasons why. But my question to you guys is, what is your favorite AK? Do you prefer 7.62x39s? Do you like 5.45? Do you like 5.56 AKs? Let me know, sound off in the comment section down below. Having that interaction with you guys to understand what you're looking at, what your preferences are, is extremely helpful for me in kind of directing content for what you guys want to see. And in addition to that, I get a chance to interact with you as well. In addition to that, if you haven't already considered subscribing to the channel, I'd greatly appreciate you guys considering doing so. That's one great way to support the channel. Likes, comments, shares is another great way to do that as well. And in addition to that, if you guys are looking to save some money, let's take a look at this video's sponsor. All right, guys, you know that I'm not going to do an ad read unless I like, and most importantly, use the product, which is why today's sponsor is Vertex. I've been a longtime fan of the cutback tactical pants that I've worn through many workouts, competitions, training courses, and just everyday wear since 2020. Vertex now has the Defiant jeans that is not only a new favorite of mine, but also my camera guy and podcast co-host, Hefe Actual. But hands down, my new favorite go-to is the Delta Stretch 2.1 pants due to its common appearance, yet rugged construction, awesome for work or play. Vertex is also known for their EDC fanny packs, backpacks, and gloves. The Assault 2.0 gloves are the ones that I'm absolutely loving at the range right now. Take 15% off your entire order by using code FITANDFIRE. You heard me correct, 15% off when you use the code FITNFIRE at checkout. It's a great way to tell Vertex I sent you while getting some great gear. Link and code in the pinned comment. Go check it out. Okay, thanks guys for bearing with me on that. I really do appreciate Vertex for supporting the channel. And again, if you guys are looking for a discount on some of their products, please use my code. There you go. All right, so let's get into the FB Radom Beryl. Again, I am so happy that this is in my collection now because this is the NATO AK. We see that name kind of thrown around out there, but as far as I know, the Beryl is the only actual NATO AK that has been fielded to a country and actually battle tested and battle proven, not only in Iraq, but Afghanistan as well, a part of the coalition of nations that supported the United States in those 2 conflicts. So in order for us to understand where the Beryl came from, we actually have to go back in time to the 1980s with Project Tantal. Essentially, the Polish military wanted to produce a 5.45x39 rifle that didn't require licenses from the Soviet Union. In addition to that, they also wanted to create a select fire rifle that had more than semi and full auto. They actually wanted a 3-round burst, so they had to change some of the designs from the AK-74 to achieve those goals. So that is one of the major reasons why the Poles decided to develop the Tantal and their version of the AK-74. Now, there was a number of different hiccups along the way in its design and its characteristics, but they finally decided on a feature set for that rifle, and it was then fielded in 1990. Unfortunately for Poland, The Soviet Union collapsed just a few years after that, leaving them stuck with this rifle that really didn't have a supply chain, and Poland no longer wanted to be a part of the Warsaw Pact. They quickly removed themselves from that and then started applying to become a NATO member. Once they were inducted into the North Atlantic Trade Organization, or NATO, they realized that, oh, we're going to have to start using their calibers. So we now have to develop a 5.56 rifle. The Poles then just looked and said, well, we already did the Tantal. We could do the same thing with a 5.56 version of that, you know, update some of the other feature sets and create a rifle that is going to be very similar to what we're already used to, yet still use the NATO caliber. And that is where Project Beryl came in, or what is now known as the WZ-96. So this was developed in the mid-90s and then fielded just shortly after that, just before 2000, I think 97, I think is when they started fielding this. And this is going to be a very kind of plain Jane version of that. What we saw from this rifle in Iraq and Afghanistan had a collapsible stock, it had Picatinny section on the handguards, and those are actually really, really cool to take a look at, and I'm sure they would be a lot of fun to shoot. It also had a Picatinny section over the dust cover, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. But let's talk about some of the different features that this particular offering has for us. Now, this was purchased from Arms of America, and that's actually a key point. If you guys are interested in a Beryl, about the only place that I know of that you're going to be able to pick one up brand new is through Arms of America. Full disclosure, I'm not getting paid to say anything good, bad, or indifferent. I did purchase this with my own money. This is going to be one that stays in my collection for a very long time. So just know that anything I say about Arms of America is just because that's who I purchased it from. So take that as you will. But they are going to be one of the sole importers of this rifle. You can find them like on Gunbroker and stuff like that. More likely those are going to be used. There might be another site out there as well that I'm not aware of, but Arms of America, that's kind of the go-to shop. So let's start off with the muzzle and talk about that. I had this threaded 1/28 and then the proprietary muzzle device added to it. You can have just a standard barrel with no threads on it and no muzzle device, or you can have this muzzle device pressed on as well. Again, I chose 1/28 threads on this so that should I want to change out the muzzle device to something a little bit more modern, I can do that. Moving back from there, you can see that the muzzle device is not butted up against the front sight posts, and that actually lends you the ability to do a couple of different things. If you don't want this muzzle device on there, you can actually chop this barrel down, pin and weld a muzzle device of your choosing on there, kind of reducing the length of the barrel from 18 inches down to something a little bit more, I guess, modern. As far as barrel lengths go, I'm not really too obsessed with one over the other. I think the 18-inch barrels do a great job as far as maximizing the accuracy and velocity of the 5.56 round. As you can see, the front sight post is pretty standard to AKMs. It does have the bayonet lug, so if that's something you're interested in, there you have it. Moving back from there, you can see it has the 90-degree gas block on there, and that leads into the most interesting change from the AK-74, and that is going to be how the gas tube and handguards are set up on this rifle. Essentially, the Poles went away from the standard design of having a lever here on the rear sight block to detach the gas tube, and instead they went to a one-piece design on the handguard retaining bracket that locks in the upper and lower handguard with just one piece, which I thought was a very forward-thinking design and a good change from the AKM. And the reason for that is the Poles wanted to have a way to quickly take the lower handguard off to add a grenade launcher should they want to do that in the field. Most of the times that's not something that would be done in the field, but under combat situations, it could be a change that need to be made at the operator level and not by the armorer. It could be done very easily. Speaking of the rear sight, it is going to be fairly standard to the AKM, but it does have this nice little hole in the back of the rear sight, and I actually really do like this feature. Originally, this is designed for it to be filled with a little tritium vial, and there is an option to have a tritium piece up front on the military versions for night sights, and I thought that that was something very interesting. Now, mine's not filled with tritium, but the fact that this hole is still there for it was something I really thought was pretty cool. But I also found that it has the ability for my eye to quickly locate the rear sight and the rear sight notch, and then allow me to quickly transition to the front sight to focus in on that, put the front sight on target, and pull the trigger. So this whole little thing ended up being such a small little kind of forgettable feature, but at the same time for me, it actually ended up working out fairly well at the range for the first 250 rounds that I've put through this. Moving down from there, you can see these two little cuts in the rear sight block, and that is for the Picatinny section that goes over the dust cover and then locks into this lug here on the rear trunnion. Now, I don't have one as of yet, but I do have one inbound. I did purchase one, found it on the interwebs, so it's actually coming in from Poland, which is kind of ironic, but that's probably where you should expect it to come from, and I will add that on here. And then I have an EOTech to put on here as well, because that's what the Poles are running for their military versions of the Beryl. So there is that. In addition to that, the recoil spring here has this little lever on it to kind of lock in the dust cover. Very similar to that of the Yugoslavian versions of this rifle, specifically the M70. You may remember or may know that there's a button on the side of the receiver that kind of locks in the recoil spring guide into position. The reason for that, and this is a redesign of that kind of feature set, is because this was originally designed to be able or be capable to fire grenades from this rifle, and had they not implemented this little locking piece here, the dust cover would just yeet itself off of the rifle because of the recoil of firing one of those grenades from this rifle. So interesting little feature set that was maintained in the civilian versions that was brought here. The safety lever is going to have a nice little shelf for your index finger and makes it for a very easy swipe to bring this rifle onto target. Very similar to what we now see from like Krebs Customs and his enhanced safety lever. We will also see that this safety lever has more of a dog leg than that of an AKM or an AK-74, and that's because the hole in the receiver for the safety lever is actually just a little bit lower than the AK-74, and that has to do with the design of their three round burst mechanism for the whole trigger assembly. So that was something that was very interesting to see carried over into the civilian version of this rifle. So there is that. Last thing I will mention is that this does have a bit of an upgraded trigger that came from Arms of America. It's interesting, it's kind of a flatter shoe than a standard AKM trigger, but I didn't find it to be any better or worse than what I would expect from any AK that I put in my hand. Now, if you don't like this trigger, you can swap it back out to the original. Arms of America did provide, at least to me, they provided me the original hammer and trigger shoe, so you can switch all of that type of stuff out if you choose to. Furniture set on this is just going to be pretty standard polymer stuff. I do not have the collapsible stock, the pistol grip, or the Picatinny section, the Picatinny type of hand guards, and to be frankly honest with you, I don't think that I would ever change that. I do like this particular setup and how it is. It's pretty simple, and for, you know, a kind of competition style rifle, this is what I would use it for. That's how I would probably keep it. The only thing that I think I'm going to do to add on to this is add the Picatinny section, which I've already mentioned is inbound. The magazine release lever here is enhanced, it's enlarged, and I found that that was a nice little added bonus as well in the design of this. It allows for more comfortable and larger purchase for my thumb to get in on this and yeet out a old magazine to put in a new one. So that is the rundown of everything going on with this. Let's talk about price. This I was able to pick up for just over $1,500, and I will say that I'm actually surprised that the price on this is what it is, because in that 2022 video I did with Clayco, he quoted approximately $1,500 to $1,600 for the one that he had. So price really hasn't changed very much. His was very similar to the one that I had, so it hasn't increased too much. It may have increased a little bit, but I can tell you that if you were to get a full military version with the collapsible stock, the Picatinny section on the handguards, the same pistol grip that we see on the military version, it's going to be more. It's going to be more expensive, probably $1,700, $1,800, $1,900. So just be forewarned. However, this is going to be a bit of a military collectible in the fact that this is what is being issued to the Polish military, and fortunately, we're not going to see too many more of these imported into the United States, I don't think. Arms of America still has some availability in stock, but it's pretty limited as to what you can and cannot get. And so, yeah, just keep that in mind. If you are interested in one of these, I would purchase one sooner than later for sure. But the last thing that I will say about this is talking about my experience on the range. And first 250 rounds of this was flawless. No failures to feed, fire, or eject, exactly what you would expect. I did run these magazines that come with the rifle itself. I had one that was included when I purchased it, and then I purchased 3 more. And then I also ended up running an PSA 5.56 AK mag as well. All of them ran just fine, no issues whatsoever. I did have some fumbling with the lockup on this. It's just, I don't know, it's just a little bit different. Maybe I'm out of practice, I don't know, but competition season's getting ready to open up, so I need to start working on all that. Needless to say, it's exactly what I expected it to be. Whether or not this is going to be the rifle that I choose to use for the upcoming competitions, yet to be seen. If I can get the rail in before my local 2-gun match, we will definitely run it there and see how well it does. Otherwise, it's back to the Zastava M90 for me, which is just fine. I love that rifle. So, but needless to say, I will do a follow-up video once we get more rounds through this and make a decision on whether or not this is going to be the rifle for my competition season. There you guys have it. There is the FB Radom Beryl, a great rifle, something that I've wanted in my collection for a number of years, and I now have it in my collection. I'm very, very happy. Is it the best AK that I have in my collection? That's yet to be seen, but I'll definitely keep you guys updated as to all of that. If you guys are interested in checking out the Live, Laugh, Larp podcast, I'd encourage you guys to swing on by. Link to all of that type of stuff is going to be down in a pinned comment. So if you're interested in finding additional information on the Beryl, I'll have that down there, as well as a discount code for Vertex and a link to the podcast as well. So really do appreciate everybody's support of the channel. Again, likes, comments, shares is the best way that you can support the channel to expand my growth and allow me to do more videos for you guys. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so much. As always, here comes a high five. Take care, guys. Freedom through strength. Bye, y'all.